This is A to Z with Mark Zinno, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, and it starts now.
Welcome back into A to Z here on Locked On Sports Atlanta, part of the Locked On Sports Network. Just search Locked On Sports Atlanta wherever you get your podcasts. We're also free on YouTube. Appreciate you guys joining us here on A to Z. So great to be daily basis. Yes, I'm on vacation in sunny Florida, but I could not resist here in week number 2 of Locked On Sports Atlanta, right after the launch of spending some time on my vacation with you guys at my parents' house. As you can hear, I think they're picking up the trash outside if you can hear that. But nonetheless, it's great to be with you guys every single day here on A to Z. So much fun to be back. Follow me on Twitter at Mark Zinno, MarkZinno. Also follow us, Locked On Sports Atlanta, Locked On ATL, at Locked On ATL on Twitter as well. You'll get all the content there. Love to hear from you guys. Love to interact with you. Please give me some feedback on what you think of the show so far. Coming up here in the next segment, where I'm not going to put my money. I'll explain that coming up. But I told you before last segment that there is absolutely one position the Falcons cannot draft. And a lot of people are thinking that they absolutely need to draft one of these. And a lot of people are thinking it is a necessity. And a lot of people are thinking that because this is a very good draft at this position, especially at the top where the Falcons are picking at 8. And this will lead me to tell you why it makes the most sense to draft a quarterback. Or I shouldn't say that. It makes sense to draft a quarterback. It might not make the most sense, but it makes sense. And the position that they cannot draft this year is wide receiver. Now, before you start throwing things at your screen or drive off the road or whatever, hear me out here, okay? The whole reason that the Falcons are in the situation that they are in is because they went after Deshaun Watson. That led them to have to dump Matt Ryan, and now they're clearing salary cap space. And it is one of those things where you have now eaten so much dead cap money that this year is a dead year. There's nothing's going to happen. It is what it is, right? And so next year, you are free of cap space, and there is a ton of money to spend for the Falcons. Have you guys looked at the 2023 wide receiver free agent class? Let me just read names to you. DK Metcalf, 24. Deebo Samuel, 26 years old. A.J. Brown, 25 years old. Deontay Johnson, Pittsburgh Steelers, 26 years old. Hunter Renfrow, the Raiders, 26 years old. Terry McLaurin, the Washington Commanders, 27 years old. Even Brandon Cooks from the Houston Texans is only 28 years old. There is a huge wide receiver free agency class coming up next year. You got all this cap space for a reason, to go spend it. And you're going to have to, because you're going to have to get above a salary floor, especially with Grady Jarrett's contract coming off the books one way or another. You're going to have a ton of money to spend. You're not going to be able to attract any wide receiver to come here. And these are legitimate wide receivers, folks. These are all wide receivers that can absolutely make an impact on a team. You're not going to be able to attract any of those guys here, no matter how much money you have, if you don't have a quarterback that they want to play with. Hence why it makes sense to draft a quarterback this year. You following the logic here, folks? There is a huge wide receiver class in free agency next year. The best thing you can do to attract one of those with all the cap space that you're going to have in a situation where you may be able to offer any of those names a substantial amount of money more than what other and structure a contract that's favorable to you to have so much cap space position. But nobody's going to say yes to more money if it means they're not going to get the ball. Look at contracts that have come around. Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, even Stephon Diggs yesterday just signed a deal with new money for Buffalo. It's going to keep them there through 2027. Wide receiver money is legit. And I've said for years, don't pay wide receivers, don't pay wide receivers. Guess what? You don't have a choice now because the league is so heavy into that. The league is so much focused on that position, much like it was for running backs 15 years ago, or even where we were overpaying running backs, the Adrian Petersons of the world and everything else. We were paying those guys too much money and all those bad running back contracts that were handed out, right? Le'Veon Bell and all that other stuff. Now it's wide receivers. You're going to start to see in 2 or 3 years, oh, it's a bad wide receiver contract. Bad wide receiver contract. Got to get out from underneath it. That's what's going to happen. But the Falcons don't have to worry about that because they are in a position where they're going to have plenty of cap room to spend. But none of those guys are going to go, you know what? I want $5 million more, but I don't know who I want to go play with in Atlanta. Like, I don't want to go to Atlanta. I don't want to play there. I'd rather take $5 million less and go catch balls and become a star and get endorsement deals and everything else, and go be on a team that wins and is competitive. So it makes sense now if you were going to sell me on Malik Willis, and the plan was draft the quarterback now, throw him to the Wolves, right? Throw him to the Wolves and let him show some flashes of what he can do a la Joe Burrow in Cincinnati, right? Because his first year, they stunk. They were bad. But Joe Burrow made them a little bit more competitive, made them a little bit exciting, made you see that, guess what? Even though there's no offensive line, we have no running game, we stink, we can't win games, I can still play. And if Malik Willis is that guy, guess what? You'll see it. I can still play. And if he could still play, then you can go get that veteran wide receiver from the list that I just gave you and pay him to be the tandem that you need on offense. That is how you can build this thing that makes sense. Drafting a wide receiver this year is now stupid. When I found this out, when I looked at this list, I said, oh, it's stupid. Don't even do it. There's no reason to draft a wide receiver. Not with that class coming up. No way. I wouldn't even waste it. Oh, but it's young talent. It's young talent you're going to waste. You have to have a quarterback for your wide receiver to matter. It doesn't matter. Kyle Pitts, again, is ineffective. Kyle Pitts will be nothing because he doesn't have anybody throwing him the ball. So you're going to have Kyle Pitts and a first-round wide receiver and no quarterback unless you believe that Marcus Mariota is the guy that is going to elevate this offense. I'm not trusting that. I wouldn't do it. So, yes, this is why you draft a quarterback this year. Go take one at 8. Go take Malik Willis if he's there. If you swing and miss, you really lost nothing. At a minimum, worst case, you can trade Malik Willis in the offseason to somebody who may want him. And even if you're only getting a second-round pick out of it, so what? Like, when you are in a rebuild, you can't be afraid to move off bad decisions quickly. You just have to be able to recognize them. You can't sit there in bad investments and go, yeah, well, we'll ride it out. We'll see. Hopefully it's going to turn around. No, just dump it and get out. And oh, by the way, the other thing in this class that is the next year's free agency class that's super important, why you don't necessarily need to go get another one of these now, is a defensive back. And I know they need him, and I know that this is a good class as well. But when you look at it, Minka Fitzpatrick is going to be a free agent. He's 25. Jair Alexander, 25. Jesse Bates, 25. Derwin James, 26. Byron Murphy, 24. There are legitimate DBs out there next year that you're going to have money to spend on. And this is what you have to kind of look at when you're balancing out how the Falcons are going to play the rest of this offseason, because understanding what you do now will affect what you do later is critical to this whole thing. I mean, to me, I'm not taking a wide receiver. If someone wants to trade with me and go get one, fine. But the Falcons should not take a wide receiver. They don't have a quarterback that they have set long-term to pair with that guy. And you right now you're in danger of wasting Kyle Pitts' best, cheapest years where he can make the most impact for your franchise on the macro level because he doesn't cost that much. You're wasting them without a quarterback to give him the ball, period. So they have a huge, huge, huge task in front of them to understand what to do. If they draft a wide receiver, I'm going to fire shots at this organization endlessly because I just think it's the wrong move. All right, this segment of A to Z brought to you by our good friends at Built Bar. I know it's a time of year where, you may be giving up on your New Year's resolutions and you're starting to eat those candy bars again. Well, here's a smart move for you. Replace your candy bar with a Built Bar. And have you ever even tried their puffs or Fuse Mellow? It's amazing. Marshmallow protein bar. This is a treat, and it is 100% covered in chocolate, real chocolate. All Built Bars are. Incredible flavors. There's yummy cinnamon churro for the puffs, coconut marshmallow, banana cream pie. You can get them all. And Built Bars are low calorie, high protein. This is, again, you want a candy bar, replace a candy bar with a Built Bar. They're better. Go to their website, built.com. Check out their macro chart. If you're into counting macros and everything, you're going to be amazed. It's just 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar carbs, 17 grams of protein. Compare that to any candy bar out there, and you will be impressed. Some great flavors: mint brownie, coconut almond. This month, white chocolate cookies and cream is their flavor. It is delicious. Again, Built Bars, they build them for taste first, and then they worry about how to make them healthy. Go to Built.com, use the promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your order. Again, Built.com and the promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off Built Bars. All right, coming up next, where I'm not going to spend my money. Final segment of A to Z. Stay with me.